Hola, good afternoon, and welcome to the University of Glasgow information session webinar. My name is Mark Stansfield, and I am the Senior International Officer for Europe here at the university. So thank you very much for joining me today. In my presentation, I will talk a little bit about the university, the programmes that we offer, how studies are structured here in Scotland, but I'll also tell you a little bit more about life in Glasgow, life in Scotland, and also talk about things like scholarships, student life, and accommodation as well. So thank you very much for joining me. If you do have any questions, please feel free to type them into the Q&A or chat function, and I will answer those at the end of the presentation today. So I just wanted to start today's session by showing a very quick video that kind of introduces the University of Glasgow and gives you a little bit of information about our history. So, okay, so hopefully the video gave you a little bit of an introduction to Glasgow. So as you saw, the university was founded back in 1451. So we are the fourth oldest university in the English-speaking world, and we've been around for quite some time. And as you saw from the video, and I'll talk about this a little bit in a couple of slides' time, we like to think that we've had a pretty important impact on the world with some of the very famous, world-changing former students that have studied with us, and we continue to welcome those kind of world-changing students to study with us to this day. In terms of other things to kind of point out, so we are very proud of our graduate employability rate at Glasgow. So just under 96% of our students are in full-time work or further study within 6 months of graduating from the university. So this is something that we're incredibly proud of, and it demonstrates our commitment to working with employers and to creating graduates who are ready to go into the world of work when they complete their studies. So whether that be helping with internship opportunities, networking opportunities, and because of our reputation, employers want to come and hire Glasgow graduates because they know the standard and quality of the education that we provide at the university. Undergraduate students in Scotland study for 4 years, and I'll talk a little bit about that later in the presentation as to what that means in terms of offering kind of flexibility and choice of subjects as well. So to give a little bit of an overview of Glasgow, so we are one of the world's top 100 universities, and consistently have been in the top 100 of the world for many, many years. According to the QS World Rankings, they place us 77th in the world. We were also voted the UK University of the Year this year, which is something that we are also very, very proud of. We actually now have over 30,000 students from around the world studying with us at Glasgow, which in UK terms makes us a relatively large university of over 30,000 students. And of those 30,000 students, they come from over 140 different countries. So a very, very international university here at Glasgow, with students from all over the world, including a large number of students who come from Spain to study with us every year as well. We are also a member of the Russell Group, research intensive universities. Often when I present, students or families maybe aren't sure what the Russell Group is or don't know why it would be something to be considering when you're looking at universities. But the Russell Group is a group of 24 world-class research-intensive universities here in the UK, and Glasgow is a founding member of the Russell Group. And students often ask me, well, what does that mean and why does that matter? Well, it matters because you are being taught by world-leading academics. So each of the Russell Group institutions are known for their research excellence, and that means that as an undergraduate student, you will be being taught by those world-leading academics. It also means that what we are teaching you is relevant, is up to date, and our teaching is informed by that research that we're doing in those disciplines. So that's kind of one of the reasons to maybe think about considering a Russell Group university such as Glasgow. And in terms of UK rankings, we're placed around 12th in the UK according to the Guardian rankings. Now, I don't want to spend too long talking about rankings because as an international student thinking about studying abroad, you have a number of different factors to be thinking about. So things such as the location of the university, the subjects that the university offers, the cost. But rankings are one of those factors that you will be thinking about when doing your research on where you might want to study. So the University of Glasgow is kind of ranked in the top 20 in the UK for all of the subjects that we teach. But I've just pulled out a couple of examples of the areas that we are particularly well known for and particularly well ranked in. So areas such as medicine, dentistry, veterinary medicine, sports science, we are first in the UK and top 5 for subjects like physiology, anatomy and nutrition. So all the kind of medicine and life science related subjects. Within our College of Social Sciences, we're ranked first for accounting and finance, for education, and our very old and very prestigious law school is ranked 5th in the UK and in the top 40 law schools in the world. In the College of Arts, we're famed for things like film and TV studies, theatre studies, and languages such as Spanish and Portuguese. And in our College of Science and Engineering, very highly ranked for our engineering school, we have the oldest engineering school in the UK and very well known for aeronautical engineering, mechanical, civil engineering, and also very well ranked for geography as well. So you can find more details about our rankings and all of the subjects on our website, but hopefully that just gives you a little bit of an introduction to some of the areas that we are particularly well known for. So as I mentioned, we've been changing the world since 1451, and I just wanted to talk about some of the notable former students that have studied at Glasgow. Possibly the most famous being Adam Smith, the forefather of modern economic theory, the author of The Wealth of Nations. He was a student and a professor at Glasgow, and our business school is now named after him. So our triple accredited Adam Smith Business School is named after our former student and professor. James Watt, who was a key player in the Industrial Revolution, came through Glasgow. John Logie Baird, who pioneered the invention of the television, did so at Glasgow. And Joseph Black, who introduced our kind of modern understanding of gas for any chemists, was a graduate of Glasgow. So we've had 7 Nobel Prize winners, Nobel laureates associated with the university. But it doesn't stop there. Some of the other inventions or academic feats that have been achieved at Glasgow include the first X-ray department was developed at Glasgow. The use of antiseptic in surgery was developed by Joseph Lister while at Glasgow. The first ultrasound of an unborn fetus, of an unborn baby, was developed at Glasgow. And also the detection of gravitational waves, kind of confirming Einstein's theory, was kind of discovered at Glasgow just a few years ago. So it just gives you an idea of the kind of history that we have at the university. And some more modern examples of recent graduates. We have the CEO of ASOS and Amazon are graduates of Glasgow. The Scottish First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, is also a graduate of the university. So just giving you a flavour of some of the kind of world-leading academics and inventors that have passed through the university's famous gates. So in the next couple of slides, I'm going to talk to you about a little bit more about Scotland and a little bit about Glasgow. And I have another video to try and make things a little bit more interesting, so you're not just listening to me. So first of all, I'm going to show a quick video just introducing life in Scotland. Okay, so hopefully that video gave you a little bit of a flavour of Scotland if you have never visited before. Now, I'm biased when it comes to talking about Scotland and Glasgow. As you can all probably tell from my accent, I am from Scotland and I am from Glasgow and have lived here for the majority of my life. But you don't have to take my word for it. Rough Guides voted Scotland the most beautiful country in the world in 2019. So don't take my word for it. Another third party has said that. There's so much to do in Scotland as a student and in your spare time, as hopefully that video showed. The great outdoors, wonderful architecture, busy, bustling cities. There really is something for everyone in Scotland, and good travel, networks to get around the UK as well. So, if you wanted to visit London or anywhere in England, it's so easy to get around the UK and around Scotland. As you can see from the background of the slide there are lots of beautiful outdoor activities to be had. This picture is from the top of a hill called Ben Ann, which is around 1 hour from Glasgow. So being, within 1 hour, you're out of the city and into kind of beautiful outdoor space. So our students in their spare time enjoy doing things like mountain climbing, adventuring in the Scottish Highlands, winter sports during winter. Lots of skiing and snowboarding takes place in Scotland. And in Scotland, we're also really famous for our culture. So our art, live music, theatre, comedy, festivals that in normal non-pandemic times take place throughout the year across our cities, particularly in Glasgow and in the capital city of Scotland, which is Edinburgh. It's very easy to get between Glasgow and Edinburgh, so Glasgow being the biggest city and Edinburgh being the capital. And again, in around 45 minutes by train and a direct train that run every 15 minutes, you can be from Glasgow to Edinburgh and vice versa. So it's a very easy country to kind of explore. To set that in context, the total population of Scotland, I think, is around 5.5 million people. So we're a relatively small country, but famed for our culture, our love of food, like in Spain, our whiskey, and we also really enjoy our sport. So we've been the host of Champions League finals. We are a host country of some of the football that's happening this summer as well. And we have some fantastic history in Scotland as well. So not only places like the University of Glasgow, but we have castles, world famous architecture and engineering. So again, just so much to do in your spare time. So on the next slide, I'm going to talk a little bit about the city of Glasgow. But again, I have one final video to show you that just introduces Glasgow as a city. So I'll play this and then talk a little bit about my city. Okay, so that was a quick introduction to the city of Glasgow. So in 2019, Time Out magazine ranked Glasgow in the top 10 best cities in the world, and has been named the world's friendliest city 2 years in a row, or in 2019 and again in 2021. That is something that we always get feedback from our students about, international students who perhaps are nervous about studying abroad or worried about where they're going. The feedback that we always get from students is that they find Glasgow such an easy city to settle in because people are so friendly and welcoming. And I think that's something that I want to stress, particularly following things like the Brexit vote and perhaps some worries that European and Spanish students might have about coming to the UK. I think it's just something to stress that in Scotland, we are a very friendly country. Glasgow is a very friendly city, and we really value the input of our European staff and students at the university. They make up a large proportion, and we just want to try to reiterate that message that despite Brexit, we remain an open and friendly city and country. So as I've mentioned, Glasgow is Scotland's largest city and the fourth largest in the UK behind London, Birmingham and Manchester. It's a very green city, as you might have seen from that video. So we have over 90 green parks and public places. And Glasgow, translated into Scottish Gaelic language, means dear green place. So lots of beautiful green space to enjoy on those few days that we do get some sunshine in Scotland. Glasgow is a UNESCO City of Music. The two images that you can see in the background of the slide there are two music venues in Glasgow. The Armadillo, which looks a little bit like Sydney Opera House, and the spaceship-looking building next to it, which is the Hydro, which is the fourth busiest arena in the world. So in normal times, we have over 125 music concerts taking place in the city each week. The university is located in the west end of the city, which is a really beautiful green part of the city with nice cafes and bars and shops. But the city centre is only around 15 minutes away by subway. We have the world's third oldest subway network in Glasgow. So it's a compact city, really, really easy to get from the university campus to the city, to the main shopping district. Very, very easy to get around either by walking or by public transport or by taking a bike, which many students choose to do with the city bike scheme. In terms of the west end of the city, as I mentioned, it's packed with bars and restaurants, nice shops. Kelvin Grove Art Gallery, one of the biggest museums in the UK, is located just right next to campus. The Botanic Gardens are a beautiful space next to the university where many students choose to study on a sunny day. Lots of cinemas, so much to do in your spare time at the weekend as a student. A real vibrant city that you will never ever be bored in, and I say that as someone who lives here as well. So moving on then to talk a little bit more about the university. and our offering. So this is an aerial shot of the main building of the university. You will have seen that already in a couple of the videos that I showed. The university appeared a couple of times already. It's a real landmark on the Glasgow skyline, the famous tower that kind of looks over the city. So we're quite an old campus, but we blend kind of old and new. So we have kind of world-leading facilities, and in fact, we are redeveloping parts of our campus at the moment that I'll talk about in a little while. But just highlighting some of the key areas. So we have our 13th floor library, which includes over 2 million books. We have the Fraser Building, which is a dedicated building for international students. Our international student support team are based there. We have the James McEwan Smith Learning Hub, which is due to open later this month. And that's a brand new student building for students to use to study and to socialise and things. So that shows the campus. So it's within the west end of the city, but really easy to walk around and explore everything that we have to offer on campus. And just on that note, we are investing £1 billion in developing our campus now. We are very, very fortunate in that we had land which homed a hospital. That hospital has now moved to another part of the city, meaning that we're able to kind of build a number of new buildings right on the old existing campus next to the main building. That's unusual. Many old, ancient universities that want to expand will have to move out of the city into other areas, and this is really lucky that we are able to do that here. So we're investing £1 billion. We will be building a brand new business school, a brand new school of engineering, spaces where we can conduct more research and work in partnership with industry as well. Modern study spaces that are really going to make these facilities world leading, not just leading in the UK or Europe, but world leading facilities. And it's something that we're very excited about. So were you to join us in the coming years, you would be benefiting from these new facilities as a Glasgow student. I just wanted to have a quick slide on our links with Spain. Before I do that, I just note some questions have come through in the Q&A, so please do type anything in, any questions that you have for me, and I will answer these at the end of my presentation, so please do keep those coming. So our first known Spanish student was Manuel Arriveres Florencio. Please excuse my pronunciation. And he studied with us back in between 1874 and 1876. And he graduated with a degree in science and engineering. So our links with Spain are strong and go back a long way. Today, we have approximately 300 Spanish students studying with us at Glasgow, and that's across undergraduate programmes, master's programmes, and PhD and research programmes. So over 300 students studying with us currently from Spain. We have a Hispanic society at the university as well, so they organise fantastic social events, they organise welcome events for Spanish students, they, organise so many different things. So if you want to meet other Spanish-speaking students or other Spanish students when you arrive in Glasgow, rest assured there is the option for you to do that via the Society. And we currently have around 18 academic partnerships with Spanish universities as well, meaning that some students come to do exchanges with us. We deliver some joint programmes and things. So over 18 partners currently across Spain as well. So moving on to talk more about the subjects that we offer and our undergraduate degrees. So we offer over 100 different programmes at Glasgow at bachelor's level, and 600 combinations of those as well. And I'll talk about that a little bit more detail over the next few slides. As I mentioned, we study for 4 years in Scotland. That is the standard, and a little bit different to other parts of the UK. So if you're looking at universities in England, just know that generally you would study there for 3 years for most programmes, but it would be 4 in Scotland. We offer professional degrees and flexible degrees as well, and I'll talk about what that means in the next few slides. And depending on what you're studying and the grades that you have, sometimes it is possible to come directly into year 2, meaning that the degree will be the same as in England, that you would be studying for 3 years. But there are advantages to kind of coming for the full 4-year degree that I'll talk about. So we, like most ancient institutions, we are structured into colleges at Glasgow. So we have 4 colleges at the university. So we have the College of Arts and Humanities. We have the College of Medical, Veterinary and Life Sciences. we have the College of Science and Engineering, and finally we have the College of Social Sciences as well. So in terms of some of the subjects that we offer, now as I mentioned, we offer over 100, so you will be pleased to hear that I'm not going to talk about all of them today. You can find out more on our website. I'm offering one-to-one meetings in the coming weeks, so if you want to have a chat to me individually, then I'm more than happy to do that, or of course answer any questions that you want to put in the Q&A. So in terms of the subjects we offer, things across arts, humanities and languages, so things like literature, as I mentioned, Spanish, Russian, Italian, theatre studies, film and TV, linguistics, translation, so a whole broad range of subjects in that area. Then our Adam Smith Business School, which is triple accredited, offers things like business, accounting, finance, economics, so a broad range of business subjects as well. Computing science, education, engineering, a broad range of engineering across civil, mechanical, aerospace, product design engineering, so a really broad range of subjects in that area as well. We teach law. So again, we've been teaching law at Glasgow since around 1712, I think, and again, consistently ranked kind of top 3, top 5 in the UK for law. So a very, very prestigious law school at Glasgow. Medicine, dentistry, nursing, politics, international relations, sciences across physics, chemistry, astrophysics, biological sciences, anatomy, pharmacology, marine biology, so a really broad range there as well, and also veterinary sciences, so zoology and veterinary medicine that we offer as well. So now I want to talk a little bit about what the 4-year degree structure means, and to talk you through a couple of examples of what that might look like. So the 4-year system in Scotland is kind of categorised or summed up by being able to study more than one subject. And in the early stages, it is very flexible and very broad. Now, what that means in this example is, so this student has applied to study physics at Glasgow, and in year 1, you study 2 other subjects, outside subjects, alongside physics. So this student has picked chemistry and astronomy. In year 2, you can carry on with those subjects, you can pick a different one. So in this case, the student has decided to carry on with chemistry and stop studying astronomy. And then in year 3 and 4, they have decided to specialise in physics. So at the end of second year, that's when you decide which 1 or 2 subjects you want to do. Now, there can be limits to this flexibility. So some of the professional degrees, medicine and things, you have less flexibility. But you have that option to try and test out some subjects in the early stage before you decide what to specialise in. Because often, as a student coming from school, you might not know what you want to do. You might not know whether you want to do physics or astronomy. So the 4-year system in Scotland allows you to try and test that out before deciding. Now, there are advantages and disadvantages to that. You have to study for 1 extra year in Scotland than you would if you studied in England. But I think the benefits of that are things like the percentage of graduates from Scottish universities going into full-time employment or further study is higher than the UK average. And the starting salary of students from Scottish universities is higher than the UK average. And we think that's partly down to us creating graduates with a really broad range of skills and knowledge that are really ready to go into the world of work. And it's something that we think employers really, really value. So in the end, the student has graduated with a BSc or a Bachelor of Science with honours in physics. To show how that might work in the case of a social science related programme, so this is an MA, which is a bachelor's degree, confusing, but the ancient universities of the UK call their BAs MAs, just to confuse everyone. I don't know why, it's just that we're old and do that kind of thing. So you'll also see that at St Andrews, Edinburgh, Aberdeen in Scotland, and Oxford and Cambridge in England. Those are the 6 ancient universities of the UK, and Glasgow, of course. So in this example, the student has applied for business management and Spanish, so to study a joint degree. In first year, they picked up history as their 3rd subject. They decided history's not for me. So in year 2, they tried music with business and Spanish. Then in years 3 and 4, they decided that they wanted to continue to study both business management and Spanish, and graduated with a joint honours degree in business management and Spanish. And also just to highlight that if you spend any time abroad during your degree, that would be in year 3 for either a semester or a year abroad. So to talk a little bit more about study abroad, we have over 150 partner universities across Europe. We were part of the Erasmus scheme. Another unfortunate outcome of Brexit is that the UK is no longer part of that. In Scotland, we're looking at how we might be able to create some partner scheme. We were also inquiring with the Scottish Government whether Scotland could rejoin Erasmus, but it seems that that is not possible. But we have partners all across Europe and also outside of Europe, so over 100 across the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, East and Southeast Asia. So some fantastic partners at some of the most prestigious universities in Europe and around the world. Generally, you don't pay any extra tuition fee. It's a reciprocal exchange. It's not an extra time added to your degree unless you're studying a language. And there is the option for you to be taught in English or in Spanish, for example, if you wanted to go to Latin America or one of our Spanish partners. So just to highlight that you have the opportunity to have that double international experience of studying abroad as an international student in the UK, in Scotland, but also perhaps at one of our partners, say in Australia or the USA. So moving on then to talk a little bit more about the academic entry requirements. So first of all, I wanted to talk about our requirements for anyone who's studying at a British school or an international school, and then I'll talk a little bit about our requirements for students studying the Spanish high school qualification. So the entry requirements kind of vary from programme to programme. So we generally ask for relevant subjects. So for example, if you wanted to study engineering, we normally need you to have studied maths and science, which is probably no surprise to you. For any student studying A-levels, we normally require somewhere between an A and 2 Bs and 3 As for most of our programmes. If you're studying the International Baccalaureate Diploma or the IB, we normally look for somewhere between 32 or 38 points, depending on the programme. Perhaps the majority looking for kind of 34 to 36 for many programmes. If you're studying the US curriculum, we accept SATs, ACTs, APs as well. So there's more information about all of this on our website. For students coming from Spain, the standard minimum requirement is normally 8 overall, with at least sort of 8.5 in at least 3 subjects, including any required subjects. In the EBAU, if the score is out of 14, we normally look for an overall score of 10. But just to highlight that for some programmes, we require a slightly higher standard than this, but hopefully that gives you an idea of kind of roughly what we're looking for as our minimum requirements for students who are applying to our bachelor's programmes from Spain. But again, if you have any questions about that, please type them in the Q&A and I can at least try to answer them at the end of the presentation. Now, I wanted to spend a couple of slides just talking about how to apply to the UK. I understand that as an international or European applicant, perhaps the UK system is a little bit confusing or a little bit different to maybe what you're used to in Spain. So the most common way to apply is via UCAS, which all UK universities would use as the kind of centralised admissions way of applying to a university in the UK. So via UCAS, you're able to apply to up to 5 UK universities or 5 different courses. So you apply directly online via UCAS. There is a small charge that you have to pay to apply. I think it's around £20 to £25. And you can use those 5 choices as you wish. Now, I'm sure colleagues will be able to help you. We work with our valued partner, IEC in Spain, who will be happy to help you with your application to Glasgow. Also, you might have a counsellor in your school who might be able to help. But the advice is generally use those 5 choices wisely. I wouldn't advise you to use all 5 choices on the same university. I would also kind of, as part of your research, look at the entry requirements. So think realistically, am I potentially going to get into this university? So maybe have an aspirational choice that if you do really well, maybe have a few realistic ones and maybe have a backup. So perhaps a university whose entry requirements are a little bit lower than the score that you're aiming for. So use those 5 choices wisely. Also, just to mention, just to confuse you, that at Glasgow we do also accept applications via the Common App, a common application. But just to highlight, so that's normally the system that's used in the US. But just to highlight that you cannot submit applications through both systems. So it would be one or the other. So either UCAS or the Common App. But if you're applying to UK universities, then UCAS would be the best bet, I would say. So when can you apply? So generally every year the UCAS application process starts around a year before term would begin. So on the 4th of September each year, applications open on UCAS. Just to highlight that if you're applying for subjects like medicine, dentistry, veterinary medicine, or to Oxford or Cambridge, there is an earlier deadline. So normally the 15th of October. So applications open in September and the deadline is October. So you have to be quick and have to be organised. The kind of general deadline for equal consideration is the 15th of January. However, at Glasgow and most UK universities would accept applications right up until the 30th of June. But my advice would be the earlier the better. Well-ranked, famous universities like Glasgow, we receive a lot of applications and often places on some programmes are quite limited. So my advice is kind of the earlier the better that you can apply. And I'll talk a little bit about what's involved in the application process in the next few slides. But we're here to help with that. I'll share my contact information at the end of the presentation. My colleagues that I mentioned that are from the IEC, our partner in Spain, will also be more than happy to kind of help you. But that gives you an idea. So once you've applied, there are 3 potential outcomes from your application. One is what we call an unconditional offer. So that means that you have already met the requirements. So perhaps you have already finished school, you have your final grades, you've taken an English language test, and you've met our requirements and we'll make you a firm offer to study with us. The second outcome is a conditional offer, meaning that you still have some conditions to meet. So that might be that you haven't finished school yet and you don't have your final grades. And the third outcome, which we hope doesn't happen, but the third outcome would be that you are unsuccessful and your application is unfortunately rejected and we are unable to make you an offer to study with us at Glasgow. But hopefully you would receive positive news from all 5 choices. And once you've heard back from all 5 of them, the ball is then in your court. So you then decide your first choice or your firm choice. You have an insurance choice, which is a backup. And then you have to decline the other offers that you're made. As part of the application process, you will upload copies of your transcripts to date. You will write a personal statement or a kind of letter of motivation as to why you're applying for the course, what makes you a good candidate. We will also ask for a reference in English from one of your teachers at your school. And also then you put in all of your personal information. So that's kind of how the process goes. And then from there you decide where you want to go. Just while I'm here, just to point out the background of the slide, that is Kelvin Grove Park that I talked about, the nice beautiful green space right next to campus. So many of our students you can see there studying on the grass or taking a break perhaps, and you can see the beautiful university building in the background. So just giving you a flavour there of what I talked about earlier. Now, I've talked about Brexit a little bit already, so I felt it would be remiss of me not to have a slide here to talk about this. Unfortunately, I think I can say that. I think the university was quite open about not supporting Brexit and wanting the UK and Scotland in particular to remain part of the EU, but the UK voted, and the overwhelming or the majority of people in the UK, not in Scotland, but the majority of people in the UK voted for Brexit, and as a result, we find ourselves outside of the EU, and that's resulted in some changes for Spanish students, unfortunately. So now European Union students who want to study in the UK will require a visa unless you have links to the UK, so unless you have settled or pre-settled status or a UK national, you will now require a visa. to study in the UK. Also, students starting as of this academic year, again, who can't demonstrate having settled or pre-settled status or links to the UK, will also now be required to pay the international fee. And I'll talk about what those are and some of the scholarships that we have to try and combat the big hit of that in a couple of slides' time. So we have some advice that we're updating regularly for EU students. So we have an EU kind of landing page on our website that includes information about the scholarship process, around the visa process and what the fees are and things. So please do check that out on our website for more information. So in terms of the tuition fees then, so the fees vary from programme to programme, as you'll see. So the vast majority of our programmes are between £19,000 and £23,000 per year of study. So that's arts, humanities, social science programmes, including things like business management and things, all fall into the £19,000 bracket. Our science, life sciences, engineering programmes are £23,000 per year. You'll see that the other three subjects are much more expensive than that. So that's medicine, dentistry and veterinary medicine. And that's just down to the fact that we have a very small number of places for international students because of how these programmes are funded. If you're training to be a doctor in the UK, there are lots of kind of clinical aspects. You have experience in hospitals. And because of the way the funding for that works, the fees for these programmes are much higher. A premium is applied compared to the rest of the programmes. So that gives you an idea of the cost. We like to think that at Glasgow it's a worthwhile investment for all of the reasons that I've talked about already. Our ranking, our reputation all across the world, our employability rates, our links with industry, our alumni network around the world. So we like to think that it's worth it, but that gives you an idea of the cost involved for studying at Glasgow. But we do have some scholarships for international students and EU students. One I wanted to talk about was our Undergraduate International Excellence Scholarship. Now, these scholarships are awarded per year of study, so £5,000 per year. So the total award is £20,000, or as you'll see, depending on the subject, around roughly 1 year's tuition covered by this. We have around 100 of these scholarships available each year, but that is flexible. And these are awarded on academic merit. So we will be awarding these on the basis of the GPA of the applicant, so based on your grades that you're applying with. You don't need to make an application for this award. Students are considered automatically when they apply. And you would normally receive an offer within 2 weeks of being made an offer to study with us. So the process happens quite quickly. There aren't really any conditions applied. You have to progress from each year, but you don't need to achieve certain grades and things. You just have to pass and go on to the next year. And this will automatically be allocated every year that you're studying with us at Glasgow. There's more information on the website. So again, you'll see I've left a link at the bottom of that slide. So you can visit glasgow.ac.uk and check out the scholarships that are available for Spanish students. I also, while on the subject of finance, wanted to talk a little bit about the living costs in Glasgow. So as I've already mentioned, Glasgow is the UK's 4th biggest city, but What University also found that it was the 4th most affordable city in the UK. Now, this is a very, very rough guide. This is by no means exact, and this will vary from individual to individual. The biggest cost that you will have will be your accommodation, and I'll talk a little bit about university accommodation in a minute, but there's no doubt that that will be your biggest outlay every month in the UK. Other things, food, clothes, travel, entertainment, very much depends on who you are. I think it's possible to live for much less than this every month. If you can cook, for example, then you're not going to be ordering takeaways or going out for dinner every night, so you will probably save some money there. I'm not sure as a student it's necessary to be spending £70 a month on clothes. You'll be bringing some with you. In the winter, it gets a little bit cold here in Scotland, so you'll definitely want to buy some sweaters and some warm jackets. But this just gives you an idea. So this is what some current students have told us that they spend. But just to highlight that I imagine you could live for much less than this, but equally depending on who you are and what you like to do, you could probably spend a lot more than that if you wanted to as well. But just gives you an idea of the kind of monthly, amount that you will need. Just to highlight that it is possible to work part-time during your studies. I would say probably the majority of the students at Glasgow do have some kind of part-time job, whether that be some of the opportunities that, again, in non-pandemic times, we would have on campus. So, for example, we have some Spanish students who are student ambassadors. So they do things like lead campus tours, help us with events on campus, and they're paid to do that. There are also lots of opportunities around the city, so around the West End of Glasgow, there are lots of cafes and shops and things that I mentioned. So as an international student, you can work for up to 20 hours per week during term time. So many of our students kind of supplement their income by working a little bit during their studies. My advice would just be, try to get the balance right. Don't spend too much time working, so much so that it impacts your studies at the university. So now on to accommodation, and I promise I'm nearly finished. I've only got a few slides left. I'm conscious I have been talking at you for a long time, so I want to allow time to answer the questions that have been coming through. So just to highlight that we guarantee students coming from outside of Scotland a place in our university managed accommodation, provided that you have applied by the deadline. Now, the final deadline to apply is August, and the term time starts normally the middle of September. So you do have plenty of time. But again, like I said earlier, my advice would be the earlier you apply, the better. Because we have different types of rooms, we have different types of accommodation. So if you have a preference, my advice would be the earlier you apply, the better the chance you have of getting the sort of room that you need. So we have 7 undergraduate residences in total, so you will only be living with other undergraduate students. We do not have any dormitories, so you will always have your own room. But there are different types of rooms. So in some, you will have your own shower and your own bathroom, and you will not be sharing that with anyone else. In other flats, you wouldn't. You would just have your room with a sink and a bed and a desk, and you would be sharing kind of a shower and things with other students. So have a look on the website. We have videos and virtual tours of all of the residences. Some students recently on Instagram did a kind of live visit to the residence, which I think you can find on YouTube. So definitely go on and have a look. All but one of the residences are within walking distance of the campus. So you're really, really close. Very, very easy to get from your room to the university. And also, as I mentioned already, we do have the kind of Glasgow Next bike. So many of our students choose to cycle from their residence to the university. Included in the price are things like utility bills, so electricity, Wi-Fi, insurance for your contents, and a gym membership is included in the cost as well. We also have trained staff living in all of the residences and senior students, so very safe, very secure, and close to campus. We only have one catered residence, and that's at our vet school, which is a little bit off campus. But included with there is a bus pass that allows you to get from the residences to the university main campus, and it's around a 20-minute journey. But all of the others are within walking distance of the campus. So more information about all of that on the website. You can also see what we've been doing to support our students who are in residences during the pandemic, what we're doing to make it safe. So you can have a look at kind of more of that on our website, as well as looking at videos of each of the residences. Final couple of slides now. I just wanted to talk about the great kind of variety of support that's available for students at Glasgow. So despite being a big, ancient, prestigious university, I think we're also really well known for how well we support our students at Glasgow and how much help is available if you need it. So a couple of things to highlight is we have an Ask a Student system, and I'll talk about that in my final slide, how you can talk to our current students. You can find out what they think life is like at Glasgow. So I think that's important that you can speak to current students. We support through international student support before you get here. So if you had any questions about applying for a visa, any questions about, what happens before you arrive, we have a dedicated international student support team who are there to help. In terms of when you are here in Glasgow, some of the support we offer, so that international student support continues. So if you have any questions or need any help with anything, they're there. We have a doctor's surgery on campus. So as part of your visa, You will have a surcharge to opt into the UK's NHS, so you will have access to a doctor on campus if you need to have any health concerns. We have a disability service, so if you are a student with a disability and need any additional help or advice, we have a dedicated team who are fantastic and able to help. We also have a very good careers service, so if you want to find out about anything from part-time work through to graduate opportunities once you finish, they organise careers events on campus where big organisations come to recruit our students. They advertise internships, they help you with your resume, they organise mock interviews to help you prepare for job interviews. So a fantastic team. And we also have employability teams within each of the colleges as well. So just highlighting some of what I've already talked about in terms of our kind of excellent graduate employability links. We have a student counselling service. So if you needed any support during your studies, we have a kind of psychological support services and student counselling if you need that. We have a chaplaincy service for students of all faiths or no faith, and also some English language support as well. So obviously if you're coming as a non-English speaker or English not being your first language, we do offer support through term time in terms of some extra help with English language classes and things if you felt that was something that you might need to do. Student life in Glasgow is fantastic for all of the reasons that I've already talked about. We have such a vibrant campus with, so many students from all over the world, 140 different countries. So they're so easy to make friends, so easy to get involved. You will have your friends from your different classes. You'll have your friends from accommodation. If you join any clubs and societies, it is so easy to kind of really get involved in student life at Glasgow. We have a very active student body as well, quite a political student body that are at the moment very focused on things around sustainability, climate change, holding the university to account on these things. So if you are interested in anything like that, there is so much to get involved in. So we have 4 student organisations as part of the university. We have 4 award-winning student media groups from television, radio, podcast, newspaper. So much to get involved in if you're interested in that. We have over 250 clubs and societies. So as I've already mentioned, we have a Hispanic society, but we also have all sorts of weird and wonderful things from, particular television programs that people like to the tea drinking appreciation society. So you name it, we have it, and a great way to make friends and to carry on with any hobbies or pick up something new that you maybe haven't done before. And also just to highlight, we have world-class sports facilities at the university. We have a swimming pool, a brand new gym facilities, and sports teams that play against other UK universities. And we have some Olympians at Glasgow, so from a very high level to if you just want to maybe try something different. Maybe you've never tried hockey before and want to join the team, you can do that as well. So much to get involved in as a student. Now, in normal times, many of our Spanish prospective students would choose to come over to the UK or to Scotland for a visit. We understand that with the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, that isn't really possible at the moment. So everything, like everywhere, has moved virtually. So we are doing some virtual open days. It's not the same. The background of this slide is an open day, so you can see groups of students getting tours around the university. Unfortunately, we can't do that at the moment, but we are trying to replicate that in the virtual space. So we have 2 undergraduate visit virtual days coming up. So one on the 15th of June and another one on the 1st of September. So that's a really good opportunity for you to, attend academic presentations to find out more about subjects. You can speak to our current students. You can find out more about student life. You can do virtual campus tours. So a real chance to find out a lot more detail about some of what I talked about today in the time that I have. There's videos, downloads and useful information available at the Open Days page on our website that I've provided the link for there. And you can also take a virtual tour of campus already. We have videos and things on our website, so helping you to get a bit of a feel for the place. And I think it's hard to do that online. If you visit university websites and things, everywhere sounds great. Glasgow is great, but if you can't come and see it for yourself, then hopefully the online activity is the next best thing. It doesn't replicate that feeling that you get on campus, seeing that main building and feeling the atmosphere, but we're doing what we can to try and make sure that you've got the information that you need. Final slide, you'll be glad to hear, is just a little bit more on the Ask a Student thing that I talked about. So as you'll see here, you can filter by level. So you can put in undergraduate, you can filter by subject. So say you're interested in accountancy, you can filter and you can speak to other students that are studying accountancy. You can also filter by country as well. So if you wanted to speak to a Spanish student, you can. We don't tell these students what to say. We provide them with some basic training so they can answer your questions. But you're speaking with a real life Glasgow student, possibly from Madrid or Valencia, and you are asking them about their experiences in Glasgow. So you can get a real honest review from current students rather than someone like me who is being honest, but I'm a member of staff. So if you wanted to speak to a current student to find out, then you can do that. There are some academic members of staff on there. I have a profile as well, so if you wanted to chat to me, you can do that by finding me at the link, which is at the top of the page. So we think it's a really useful way for potential students to be speaking to current students. So thank you for listening. I'm conscious that I spoke for quite a while there. I tried to make it semi-interesting with some videos. My email address is there on the slide, so I'm now going to move over to the Q&A and take any questions. But if you do want to get in touch with me, to speak to me as part of this fair over the next few weeks, I will have one-to-one slots. So if you want to arrange to speak to me, I would be happy to answer any specific questions that you have about your circumstances or the subject you're interested in and things. So please do get in touch with me through the fair site or via email, and I would be happy to chat to you. So I'm now going to move over to the Q&A section because I see that some questions have come in. So I'm just going to take a sip of water before I lose my voice, and then I will start answering your questions. And please feel free to type any others in that you have, and I will work my way through them now in the next couple of minutes. Perfect. So the first question I have is, what is the best time to go to Scotland and study there? So term for undergraduate students begins in September each year. So that would be when your studies would start. In terms of when to arrive, possibly a week or so before term begins. Normally you can move into accommodation around a week before. And just to highlight that we have an introductory week and then teaching starts the following week. So we have a kind of orientation week where we welcome international students. We organise campus tours, social events where you get to meet other students, and then teaching begins the following week. And details about those dates and things are available on the website, so you can have a look at all of that. So September would be when the best time would be to come. Next question is, I would like to study law at your university. Excellent, good choice. What would the tuition cost be and the average cost of the stay in Glasgow? So hopefully I kind of covered that in my presentation. So the fees for the law programme at undergraduate level are £19,000 per year. And the average cost of living and things, I think I kind of talked about in that slide as well. But if you wanted more information about that, please do get in touch with me, and I'll be happy to talk about it. But I think, law, a very prestigious, place to study law is the University of Glasgow. And just to highlight that we teach 2 law programmes, Scots Law for students who want to study law and practice in Scotland, and common law for students who maybe want to practice as a lawyer elsewhere in the world. So most international students would probably choose to study the common law programme. But again, more information about all of that on the website. Next question is there some kind of bachelor's or master's degree in video games at your university? No, actually, that's one area that we don't specialise in at Glasgow. We do offer kind of computing science and IT related subjects, but we don't have a video games programme. But there are some other Scottish universities that do. So I'm always going to fly the flag for our Scottish partners. So there are a couple of universities in Dundee, Abertay, and the University of Dundee that are particularly well known. I think Dundee is the home of Rockstar Games that created the Grand Theft Auto franchise and things. So yeah, but not at Glasgow, I'm afraid. So not an area that we specialise in. Thomas, thank you for your questions. I hope you found the presentation interesting. So Tomas is asking, hello, I'm a high school student from Chile. Fantastic, welcome. Do I need to complete any special requirements as a non-EU citizen to apply? No, Tomas, no, you don't. So everything I talked about in the presentation equally applies to an applicant, whether they're from Spain or from Chile. So no, nothing special that you need to do. Obviously, I only talked about the Spanish school entry requirements, which might not be relevant to you, but we have a Chile web page on our website, so more information for applicants from Chile. It's not a market that I look after, but I think we generally receive around 20 or so students from Chile each year. So yeah, and my colleague Joe, who looks after Chile, would again in normal times be travelling to Chile throughout the year, but unfortunately, obviously, that's not happening at the moment, and I'm very much looking forward to being back in Spain very soon, and I'm sure Joe's looking forward to getting to Chile as well. And Thomas, your second question is especially in the validation of my school level. Not that I'm aware of, Thomas, as I said, I'm not overly familiar with the system in Chile. It's not one of the countries that I have responsibility for here at Glasgow, but I'm sure my colleague Joe would be happy to help if you kind of had any particular questions. So I'd need to kind of double check if you had any kind of specific questions about that. But what to do is just drop me an email with the email address that's here, or make an appointment with me through the system in the next few days, and I would be happy to chat to you about that a little bit more. But in terms of the application process and things, generally, not anything different really between non-EU and EU students now. So I think that takes me to the end of the questions. I'll give it another minute, so if anyone wants to type anything final in, I'm happy to answer that. But I would just like to say thank you for joining today. Thank you. I hope you found the presentation informative and interesting and helpful. So any final questions, I'm happy to take now. If not, I hope to maybe meet with you one-to-one over the next few weeks. My availability is available in my diary on the FAIR website. But if not, if there's nothing else, I think that's almost time up. So I would just like to say thank you very much for joining me today, for your time. I know it's a busy time, so thank you. I hope it was interesting, and please do keep in touch, and maybe see you in Glasgow sometime soon. So thank you all, and goodbye. Thank you.